the Chili Peppers Higher Ground here at 100.3 The X Rocks. The morning after with Nic and Big J. Nic is on vacation till 26th. In the meantime, we kind of wrapped up pretty much most of the Casting Couch 3 interviews that they had set up. This morning we had one of Sarah's with Anthony Nigro, and Mike had set this one up. Of course, when we had met Mike and he came in here, he had started a social media thing called the Boise Chive. Now, if you're not familiar, thechive.com is a website. It's filled with pictures, memes, some interesting things, and you know, they've been doing some charity stuff here of late too. But it's part of the whole process. And I've been wanting to talk to John for a long time, actually. So it's nice to finally get him on the phone. John, how are you today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, John. How are you, man?
I'm not bad at all. I'm about to go on Christmas vacation, so no complaints.
Do you actually get a vacation?
Hey, that's a really good question. Once a year, the Chive will shut down kind of over Christmas, and we'll post lightly, and that is the one and only time that I ever get a vacation all year.
Now,
so.
You know, I mean, I don't even remember when I started going to the Chive, and I'm sure it was probably pictures of hot chicks that brought me there, but it was just, I always thought it was interesting, and a lot of the memes and things are really funny. How and when did you decide to start the Chive? How did that inception begin?
Man, I'll try to make the story more interesting than it is. Think of it this way. When you go to Facebook, you have, we're conditioned as Americans to scroll through a slideshow of photos. So you're constantly clicking through one photo after another photo like a drugged monkey. While you're doing that, of course, that ad in the corner refreshes over and over, and they're serving out ad impressions. And my brother and I thought, what if we just take all the content and put it on one long, free-flowing scroll, and we just stop giving a crap about the money, and we just make a less granular user experience, and we'll see what happens. That and we had failed a lot before that. Like, we were like world-class failures. But the Chive took off immediately because in 2008, believe it or not, as recent as that is, no one was doing that. A few bloggers in Russia were, and that was it. So, I mean, it was a pretty simple concept. It remains so today. And,
you know, it's one of those things where it draws a lot of people to it, and then at some point, I'm sure when you started doing this, you didn't think that philanthropy was going to be a key aspect of this for the website, but that's what it's turned into with a lot of the Chive charities, which is not only heartwarming, but it's just crazy to see how much people care and how much they're willing to give.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for any of it, but that's really, you gotta put that on the Chive community for just being generally awesome people who want to give to other people. I don't know. I can't take credit for generating that sort of giving spirit, but they have it, and I'm just really glad that they do, because it's become really, I guess the lasting legacy of the Chive will actually be that, I think, in the end.
And it's probably overwhelming too, because there's no lack of need in the world when it comes to those sort of things. And I know you just recently posted one about a young girl who needed to have a really good Christmas, and so, you know, that you can find at thechive.com right now. How do you go about prioritizing, okay, who should we help? Because now that's a big problem, I'd have to imagine.
It is. So we get hundreds, if not thousands of submissions a week now that come in. So there's the due diligence process has become really important to us. And at the same time, you know, you got to whittle it down to a more manageable size. You know, we are just a few people in a room. We're not a huge corporation, so there's only so much manpower to put behind it. So you try to go through and figure out, you know, first of all, we're trying to help the orphan cause of the world, not something you've really heard of all the time, so we're kind of trying to seek out the dark corners of the world for something that you've never heard of, someone who really needs help, to raise awareness, not just for the individual, for the cause. But at the end of the day, you know, you break it down at the end of the week, and you've got, you know, 3 different folders on your, you know, they'll put on my desk, and you got to go through and kind of make Sophie's choice in a way, and you know, that sucks, and you keep wanting to do more and be better about it and put the systems in place where you can help more people, and that's what we're doing right now. But there are some, you know, that you can't help everyone.
Yeah, and you know, and then the different sites as well, like the Brigade, which is one of my favorites because I love the men and women of the military, and that's a great one as well. Plus, you have.
I love that you said that. Hold on. Hey, Rick, this radio station loves the Brigade.
They love you right back.
Nice. I really have been following along for quite some time, and you know, one thing I've always kind of wondered about is the involvement of one Bill Murray.
Yeah.
How and when did that happen? Because he's lent his likeness to, you know, to the Chive shirts. How did that become a part of the legend and lore of the Chive?
It was really a happy accident because, first of all, we make a lot of different shirts. We make 200 different shirts. I mean, what's to say that if you put this image of Bill Murray on a shirt that it's going to be very popular? And it became very popular. And so we knew, but and you know, the legend is, you know, you can't get a hold of Bill Murray gets a hold of you.
Right.
And that's very true. Like, he does not have agents, to my knowledge. I don't know that he has a lawyer. I think that he still, to this day, has a producer friend with an old answering machine that he goes through, and maybe he likes what he sees, maybe he doesn't. But, you know, eventually, Bill's going to walk around and see this shirt on enough people, you know, to know that this has become a really popular shirt. And then there's the day that Bill Murray gets a hold of you, and you don't forget those days. But to Bill's credit, what he wanted was for us to sponsor his charity golf tournament, to be the lead sponsor. He's a smart guy, really smart, and to his credit, he wanted this shirt to become sort of a part of his charitable legacy. So every year we go down to St. Augustine, and we sponsor his big Murray Brothers Caddyshack golf charity tournament, which is the most unbelievably cool thing. I can't even put it into words. Your face hurts from smiling after 3 days. And we do a big T-shirt launch where all the proceeds go right to his charity. And that's what Bill wants out of it. He wants to make the world a better place with his T-shirt. And I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, and it seems like it's such a good fit because that's just kind of what the Chive is all about, is good vibes. And, you know, aside from doing this, you're also an actor. You were in True Blood, and you know, how do you juggle that? Because I'm sure that that's something that you want to continue to do, is act instead of just run a website.
Yeah, you've done your research. I've been doing True Blood for 6 seasons now, but we're going into the 7th and final season, which I'm sure I'll start filming here in the next month or two. And then after that, I think we'll move into sort of producing feature films, and I'll throw my ugly face in it at some point. But I think that's probably the extent of my ambitions in that medium, because the Chive has got a lot going on these days, I guess.
Well, you've created, you know, whether on purpose or just happenstance, a great platform for a lot of awesome things. And then, you know, you have cities that are you know, creating chapters, and I don't know whether or not that they're, you know, official chapters or how that works. I know we have one here in Boise, and that's how we got in touch with you. How does that whole thing work, and is that part of the overall Chive tree that you decided to create?
No, again, I think that goes back to the Chivers. You know, to the uninitiated, the Chive has become sort of this thing that people are taking offline rather than online. People are using the Chive and the shirts and these chapters to connect to each other, to buy each other beers, to meet new people and have new experiences. And to that end, you know, different cities will start a Facebook page and say, you know, I want to start a Chive chapter. And you hope that they're, you know, that they're not a-holes, because I can't think about it if they are. And then suddenly that Facebook page gets a lot of likes and a lot of followers, and then they'll start throwing, you know, they'll say, hey, let's meet up at this bar, and you know how that story goes. Then 400 people show up to have a good time. And that's really what it's all about. I don't think there's any grander ethos at stake here than just having a few drinks and meeting new people. I don't want to think that there's anything more at stake than that, but, you know, you can make the world 10% happier, you're doing an okay job.
And that's one of the themes of the Chive, and I'm sure that there are people trying to, replicate what you're doing, and it's probably not going to work because it is really an organic thing that you've been a part of creating. And I know that we enjoy it here at the station, watching the Chive and seeing the pictures, and from the hot chicks to the charity things you do, John. I think it's great because you are helping to pay it forward for everybody else, and you're setting a good example, man.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
You betcha. So check out thechive.com on a daily basis. John, we really appreciate you spending some time with us, man.
No problem. Thanks for your time, too. Y'all take care out there.
You bet.